Hey, everybody. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. I hope you're having a blessed day in the world today, wherever you are. Welcome to Pep Talk, the podcast where we give you the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help us, God. We take all these interesting and complex health and wellness conversations you're seeing about on the news or social media, or you're hearing about around the dinner table or at work, and we break them down into understandable, digestible segments. And then we give you action steps so that you can improve the health and quality of your life and the life of your family. And I'll just tell you, it's an honor and a privilege to be with you again. I'm your host, Dr. Eric Naputi, 20 plus year private practicing physician, specializing in the field of functional medicine and functional neurology, helping people get to the root cause of their problems by helping them understand that physiology doesn't lie. And as long as we test, we don't guess. And then we can find the root cause of the problem and help people get healthier. And preventing illness, and especially chronic illness, is one of the things that I focus on massively. Today, I want to continue a conversation we've been having. We're doing a series on peptides. Peptides are very common. We're seeing them in the news now. We're seeing them in social media now. And many of you are probably taking peptides. And peptides are really not a new conversation. It's not a novel conversation at all. Peptides have been around for decades. In fact, peptides really originated around the Cold War, where Russian scientists were utilizing amino acids from proteins, which amino acids are some of the most basic fundamental building blocks of everything in our body, and putting these amino acids together in certain sequences, almost like a computer program would be, and putting that into the body so that the body then signals certain cells, whether it's muscle cells, nerve cells, organ cells, bone cells, or what have you, to stimulate, speed up, and oscillate like they're supposed to. As we age, the vibration and the frequency of the oscillation of our cells decreases massively. And that decrease of that leads to aging. That is the aging process. So peptides revive and regenerate those cells by causing them to signal and vibrate at a higher frequency again, i.e., preventing, mitigating, or even reversing, in some cases, the aging process. Now, the field of longevity is telling us that we have the capacity as humans to live to 120, 150, 200 years of existence. We better have good cells signaling for that, or we're going to look, feel, and act old as old can be. And I don't know about you. I want to be able to do what I want, when I want, with who I want, for as long as I want to do it, whether I'm 19 or 119 years old or more. And peptides have really been breakthrough therapeutics when used in conjunction with the proper lifestyle based off of your own individual need, which I feel the best way to find that out is to have a diagnostic DNA test done. And I recommend the BioLimitless Discovery DNA wellness kit that we can do. That test measures over 800,000 different data points within an individual and tells them how they should eat, how they should sleep, how they should exercise, how they should supplement. It gives them a roadmap, if you will, of action steps that you can take to help improve the quality and function of your life and potentially mitigate certain problems as we get older. And cell signaling your cells in your body, is a really good, important thing that you should be doing. So listen, the peptide I want to discuss today is another important peptide that deals with neuroprotection, neuro regeneration, and helping the brain and the brain-gut axis work like it's supposed to. It's a peptide called Dihexa. Dihexa is a peptide that, by the way, also crosses the blood-brain barrier pretty simply. And so we can use this Dihexa in low doses and really have an impactful therapeutic effect on the body. We can do this from in the clinic prescription, whether it's an injectable prescription, or there are oral and even topical applications for Dihexa on the market today that can really help with improving the synapses and the synaptic function of your brain, and improving the brain-derived neurotropic factor, which is known as BDNF. This peptide also helps in repairing cognitive decline, improving memory, learning, and focus on a cellular level. So let me read some of my notes to you that I took on Dihexa. So first of all, you know this, neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, ALS, Huntington's disease, etc., are globally on the rise. With an ever-increasing aging population, we're seeing more of this. We're living longer, the quality of our life goes down, but the quantity of our life goes up. So let's talk about things we can do to potentially improve that. So we have lifestyle related factors and persistence of environmental stresses and triggers like the food we eat, the air we breathe, the environmental stresses that we have all increase this drastic rise that we see in neurodegenerative disorders. So let's talk about Dihexa. So Dihexa, really interestingly enough, Dihexa itself has been shown to improve neurocognitive function. Let me read some of these notes. I think it's important to talk about this because it was impactful when I read this. There's a massive global rise, an economic issue with these neurodegenerative issues. I don't know if you saw this, but Alzheimer's disease alone affects 55 million people annually across the globe, with expected cases to triple by 2050. Now, there are a lot of factors, including insulin resistance and diabetes and other factors that increase the risk for Alzheimer's, dementia, and other neurocognitive issues. But the inability for the cells to regenerate and the inability for the synapses of the brain to fire like they're supposed to is definitely one of those leading factors. We're seeing massive cognitive decline happen globally with people. This progression leads to complete dependency on individuals. And we're seeing now a conversation happening on an economic standpoint that we need to improve our resources that we have for institutionalizing mental health. As people age, we're seeing more and more age-related assisted living facilities come up. What if we were able to age but keep our brain function proper? What if I told you that was a possibility? Number two, we have emotional dysregulation. Man, I don't know about you, but ever since 2020, I've personally and professionally seen a massive increase in emotional instability and what we refer to as sympathetic dominance and sympathetic overload, which leads to instability emotionally, irritability, depression, anxiety, and really altered brain chemistry and neurological damage. We see that. We see social isolation happening on a level. We're creatures of community. We're supposed to be community creatures, but when we see folks isolating themselves, it's because of brain dysfunction that's happening, and we're seeing a massive rise in psychiatric disorders and psychosis. It's and other behavioral disorders. It's at a disturbing rate of increase. Listen to this, the economic impact. That's what I wanted to get to. The U.S. alone, just for Alzheimer's, excess of $345 billion annually, and it's going to be in excess of $1 trillion annually by 2050 alone in the U.S. And there are things we can do right now, lifestyle changes, educating people, cleaning up the food supply, talking about the expansiveness of opportunities of neuroprotective nutraceuticals like peptides and others that are out there. These costs are going to destroy our economy. There are things that can be done now to help with that. And the global impact right now, listen to this, neurodegenerative disease contributes to over $1 trillion right now to this day, $1 trillion a year annually in loss of productivity and excess in cost, right? And medical bills. So let's talk a little bit about Dihexa. Dihexa has become one of my favorite peptides. I just started using Dihexa probably about 5 years ago. I was really turned on to it because of some of the work that I do with concussions and some of the work we do with post-traumatic brain injuries and some of the work that we do with a lot of the neurodegenerative conditions that are out there. So Dihexa has really worked by targeting several pathways. Let's talk about these pathways. Number one, the angiotensin pathway. So the angiotensin pathway is an important pathway for lots of reasons, by the way. Dihexa, the peptide, binds to and activates hepatocyte growth factor receptors in the body, which is critical pathway for cellular repair, and a lot of it in the liver. By the way, in Eastern medicine, the liver is known as the angry one. When the liver is not working well, the body has a lot of neuroemotional instabilities, irritability, itchy, twitchy, and bitchy is what a lot of times the liver can lead us to. This activation enhances the synaptic connectivity, so the neurosynapses and neurogenesis, and aiding in cognitive function and recovery of neurological damage in human beings. That's a powerful deal. Number two is it promotes neuroplasticity. So neuroplasticity is the ability for nerve tissue to repair itself. I don't know if you know this, but as we age, the body and brain does not become as neuroplastic. It's always neuroplastic. Our brain never stops with the ability to regenerate, never. However, stress of aging, not taking care of ourselves, not doing the right supplementation, not living for your genetic lifestyle, not exercising properly, not calorie restricting from time to time, all those things can lead to a reduction of neuroplasticity. Dihexa stimulates the formation of new synapses and strengthens existing neural connections or pathways, aka also referred to as habits or patterns in the body. It enhances learning, memory retention, and the adaptability of the brain to new information. You know that old phrase, you can't teach new dogs old tricks? That's because as we age, if we don't take care of ourselves, our brain loses its neuroplasticity. Dihexa has been shown to potentially help with that on multiple levels. This is a big one. It helps cross the blood-brain barrier. Dihexa's ability to cross the blood-brain barrier allows a direct impact on brain tissue. Now, I will tell you, I use a lot of other neuroregenerative peptides, things like tesofin and other peptides that could potentially have some effects on neurotransmitters. Dihexa doesn't. Dihexa doesn't have as many potential side effects, okay? And you can take Dihexa if you're taking SSRI medications, where tesofin you shouldn't, okay? Dihexa's ability to cross the blood-brain barrier allows for really quick neurological application for this peptide. It also has anti-inflammatory properties. So it reduces neuroinflammation by modulating inflammatory cytokines. These are cells in our body that respond to inflammation by reducing TNF-A alpha and interleukin-6, which are really important inflammatory markers that need to come down in the body. And it protects neurons from, again, oxidative stress. That's part of what Dihexa does. So basically it helps contribute to oxidative stress contributes to neurological decline. Dihexa can help with that. It helps a lot with vascular function as well. It stimulates angiogenesis. Angiogenesis is the improvement of blood flow and tissue repair, aiding in recovery from brain injuries, like traumatic brain injuries, like concussions, like head injuries. Folks that have migraines do really well with this, because migraines typically are a lot of times a blood flow issue. They're not getting enough blood flow to the brain. So Dihexa, with other nutrients like niacin, Dihexa and niacin B3 mix phenomenally well together. So does NAD. NAD goes really well with Dihexa. But this improves musculoskeletal and vascular damage and brain potential damage as well. So what are the benefits of Dihexa? Number one, okay, this is a big one, cognitive enhancement. So Dihexa, neurogenic properties make it a very powerful tool, improving brain function, all right? So improving memory and learning, which everybody needs that. Everybody needs that, okay? These peptides are not for kids though, all right? I don't prescribe these under the age of 18 to anyone. I don't recommend them for under the age of 18 for anyone, but it enhances the synaptic efficacy and plasticity, improving both short-term and long-term memory in individuals. It's beneficial for individuals with memory impairments and people that are seeking to improve cognitive function. So if you're having senior moments, if you're post-concussion syndrome, or if you're PTSD and you just can't retain anymore because your brain is filled with, with cortisol and your neurotransmitters aren't firing proper, Dihexa is a good solution. So it's also really good for focus and concentration. This is where I see the biggest benefit for most of the folks that I see that are adult ADD, ADHD. This really helps with those folks without the side effects of a lot of the ADHD medication. A lot of the HDA medications out there completely wipe out your personality, number one, and number two, it wipes out your appetite. Dihexa doesn't do that. It does have some fat burning and metabolic improving potential to it, no doubt about that, but nowhere near as bad as some of the medications that are on the market for ADD, ADHD right now. And it can improve mental clarity and attention span. That's a powerful deal. It's been shown to slow cognitive decline. And it was originally looked at in Alzheimer's and Parkinson's patients, right? But it's been now expanded upon for that. Again, it's not an FDA approved drug for any disease, right? Just like no supplements on the market are FDA approved for anything. And by the way, please remember, every single drug that's been pulled off the market for killing tens, 20s, thousands, hundreds of thousands of people was once an FDA approved drug. It has neuroprotective and neuroregenerative properties, Dihexa. It promotes brain health by stimulating neurological growth, neuron brain cell growth and repair. So listen to this. It has neurodegenerative disease support, so potential to regenerate damage in the neural pathways that are damaged that can lead to neurodegenerative problems, Parkinson's, dementia, multiple sclerosis, etc. Traumatic brain injuries. I use this a tremendous amount with my post-concussion patients, whether they're car accidents, whether they're, concussion patients, whether they're, soldiers that have had traumatic brain injuries from a concussion grenade going off, or if someone slipped and fell and hit their head. There's so many reasons for this. We also use it for mood and emotional balance. It has a lot of, it's not an antidepressant drug. Let me say that. It's not an antidepressant drug, but it has a lot of antidepressant type properties to it, okay? It really helps with mood regulation a lot, helps with a lot of the symptoms that could be associated with depression, and it's great for stress reduction. It enhances brain adaptability, and it promotes resilience to chronic stress and emotional dysregulation. That's a big one, emotional dysregulation, which leads to more chronic problems. And regenerative tissue repair, Dihexa, this is pretty cool. Dihexa beyond the brain has shown to improve musculoskeletal promotion of healing of muscles, tendons, and etc. That's why this peptide is really good to be combined with others like BPC 157, the Wolverine peptide. These work really well together. Also has a lot of help with vascular regeneration because of the angiogenesis to improve blood flow and oxygen and nutrient supply to damaged areas of the brain and the body. Really good from an anti-aging support. It supports neuronal health, which is nerve function in the nerves and primarily in the brain, which is the key for cellular longevity. And then the gut, the brain-gut axis for this, because it enhances vagus nerve signaling. And let me just tell you that the vagus nerve, which is the superhighway nerve in the body, about 10 to 20% of that nerve lives in the upper cervical spine, and about 80% of that vagus nerve lives in the GI tract. And the enteropathic nervous system and the vagus nerve is the brain-gut connective nerve. And most people have issues with resting, digesting, growing, developing, healing, hormone production, and immune function because that vagus nerve is not working proper. Dihexa has been shown to improve vagus nerve function. And I've seen patients anecdotally who have had improvement on brain scans, primarily heart rate variability tests, which are the gold standard of measuring sympathetic and parasympathetic brain activity. Dihexa has been shown to improve that. I've seen that happen in my own clinical experience. So you can't tell me it does not happen. So Dihexa is something that, again, you should really consider, especially if you're not taking SSRI medications, other neuroprotective brain stimulating peptides like testofen. If you're on SSRI meds, I would consult your physician. You can use them if you choose to, but I recommend that you don't, or I recommend that you work with your physician to wean down off the SSRI meds and do Dihexa combined with testofen. I would be totally fine with that. We use that in our practice a lot, but Dihexa mixed with niacin and NMN and good gut health and eating for your genetic lifestyle and sleeping properly for your genetic lifestyle, exercising properly for your genetic life. That's the key. I mean, you put that combo into play and you do that consistency for a long enough time, you're going to see some really positive results. Remember, neurological tissue is the slowest healing tissue in the body. You break a bone, you can heal a bone in 6 weeks. You tear a muscle, it takes 6 months. You have nerve damage, it could take 12 to 18 months of consistently doing the right thing before those nerves can repair. And you have to remember, if you have neurological degenerative disorders, that took your body decades to get to. You're not going to fix this problem in less than 12 to 18 months. The seeds that you plant today are the fruits that you're going to reap later in life. And the negative seeds that you planted 20 years ago are the fruits that you're reaping now in your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and etc. So again, Dihexa, I'm a big fan of it. It's a great peptide. Go do some research on it. There's a lot of benefits to it, and it can be done in very safe, low dosages, very beneficial for the body. So listen, go back, re-listen to this, rewatch this, share this with your friends and family. You know, people that are dealing with neurocognitive emotional dysregulation, send this to them. This could be a benefit for those individuals. And don't take my word for it. Go get some Dihexa, start putting this into your daily routine. And I believe me, you'll see some change. It takes about 3 to 4 days, but you'll see some changes in how your body functions. And then give it the time it needs to repair the damage to the tissues. That's a good 12 to 18 months of being consistent with repairing your body. So here's what I want you to do. Go to our website, go to peptalk.world. That's peptalk.world. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share our information. If you're using Dihexa, tag us in that on all of our social media channels and platforms. I want to hear how this is working for you. And look, folks, remember, knowledge is power, but wisdom is taking that knowledge and applying it to your life. So until we meet again, I'm Dr. Eric Naputi. God bless you. God bless America, and God bless the world. Stay smart out there, and I'll see you next time. Be well.